Then we can have them and move up.
So.
I love that. Oh.
I think if you.
Okay, welcome back from our lunch break. So procedurally, what would be the preference to the council? Do you want to go person by person with concerns, or would you like to go kind of review all the different presentations we've had? Which one do you think would be most productive?
Think person by person.
Okay, really good.
Those things off on those.
Okay. Then let's start. Who wants to start? Lars or Cindy?
Lars or Cindy?
Well, you're
Lars.
last.
I'll be last.
So we had a presentation a couple weeks ago about property tax increases on a regular basis tied to inflation. And I don't think we made a decision. I think this is the right place to talk about that and give direction to the staff for a resolution.
So we kind of brought that up a little bit ago, and then staff looked, and if I have it right, procedurally, we can't commit future city council member or councils. So we can have it as a not a policy, but a procedural.
Resolution.
Oh, can we?
Yeah.
We
But
just,
you're right, it isn't.
it's not binding.
Every
Okay.
year, you would have a truth in taxation, just like we do with the judgment levy. We have a practice that
Right.
we approve that, and we still have to vote to approve it every year,
What was-
and we don't have to.
Okay,
But I think it'd be wise to make a resolution that that's our intention. I was thinking about it. There's three main revenue sources for government. You
Mhm.
have sales tax, which grows naturally with prices. When they raise the price of eggs, they raise my tax on the price of eggs without any resolution needed.
right,
Income tax, when I get a raise from my work, my income tax increases. They don't have to pass a resolution to increase that. You know, our state says, we're gonna give you our legislature says they're gonna give us a tax cut. And when Jim showed us yesterday, the wages went up 5%. Or I can't remember the
That was
number.
like, yeah, it's,
And they're talking about a 0.02% cut in the percentage. Well, that's a tax increase,
yeah, they still get more money.
right?
Yeah.
And yet they say they're giving us money back to our residents when they're really collecting more from me.
Mhm.
With property tax, they've prevented us from allowing that to increase naturally with the value of property. And since property tax is our most stable revenue source for our city, we need to put procedures in place that will keep that sustainable so that our budget remains sustainable in the future. And I think it'd be wise it would be pioneering for us to do that on a regular basis. And I think that would be good for our residents, for our future. I think it'd be good for the council as well, because we all just know that this is expected. And instead of having a big jump every few years, have a little step that makes sense naturally with with the increase in expenses.
Well, and when we were looking at the tax where we've increased, you know, there was a 2, a 3, but there was an 18 and a 9. So I don't know how it, you remember how it worked out to what the average
Yeah,
was over that time period?
we were, see, I think I've got that on my computer here. The property tax increases, we averaged very, very small, 2%, over the last, it was like 15 years. Let me get this really a little bit closer. Sorry about that. Okay, we had,
I'm sorry, Dan.
2.0%, we had CPI was 2.1 and the MCI was 2.4.
And our average was how much? 2?
We were about 2%
Okay.
over that same period. And it did have some fairly large jumps. Some were 10%, some were 2%, 7%. When we started doing this, I didn't include this on that chart because it kind of skews things, but we had a 65% increase that was approved. And then in 2011, 2012, there was an 18.6% increase. It's not kept up with inflation, what we've done, but it's been a good start.
Well, and I think it would be wise to do what Lars is suggesting and have our, once we get our parks plan back and have a really, Dan has the roads, what our capital improvements need to be, and be able to either bond and have, raise the taxes to cover those bond payments, or find a funding mechanism, so we're not always behind and trying to catch up. We have a strategic plan to raise taxes this much every year, and I'll be able to take care of our capital improvements as well as we go by, instead of just waiting for a windfall. So,
A couple of thoughts on that. I think I would rather have a little more informal. I appreciate where finance comes. This is, here's what we're projecting expenditures to be. We're eventually facing a shortfall, rather than an automatic agenda item to talk about an increase. Well, we can still talk about an increase or the need for an increase, but in a more informal fashion. The other thought I had is that the state legislature is already sort of threatening to put guardrails or limitations on what city councils can do in that respect. And if we were to pass a resolution like this might even prompt them to put more stricter guardrails, because now they're thinking about how tax our residents. So.
well, and the guardrails right now is, if you have over a 5% increase, it has to be voter approved. And most mayors have said, well, then we'll just do 5% every year and not get behind and have to do a big increase. But then it makes it hard for them to save for capital improvements and to be able to fund their big projects. And so, yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword there.
It is, and I just think that a resolution like this could catch a lot of eyes or attention. And a knee-jerk reaction from our state legislature that would maybe take that, or I don't.
So Lars, kind of what would the resolution look like?
I think it would be that, as a practice, every year we will have, a proposed tax increase that matches the MCI, or,
I would recommend that.
Yeah.
and unless the MCI is more than a certain percentage, and in which case we would do less than that, but as our practice, and that we would still need to have a truth in taxation hearing and vote to approve that tax increase every year. But our intention is to maintain a sustainable revenue source through our property tax. I think it's all in the way we message it. And I think that sound minds will see the sense in this. and we won't see a lot of pushback.
Well, and in one of our last couple chamber meetings, they were talking about the 14% from the county. And they would appreciate a standard, so when they're doing their budgets every year, they know, okay, they're gonna raise our property tax, West Valley City alone, not the whole bill, but just West Valley, 3%. So we know to build that into our budget, because they said, our budgets are getting thrown off because we had this much planned for a property tax. And then the county's raising it 14%, and so that's not gonna work with our, anticipated budget. So just for them alone, that might be helpful for their
Yeah,
planning,
businesses and residences,
yeah.
they know they can just plan on this. It's not a huge change to the tax and keep our revenue sustainable.
And then we really need to explain, I know that Jim has changed it on the internet a million times to explain. The only part of the property tax that West Valley controls is that one line. And it's less than most people's HOA fees. And you get police, fire, sidewalks, roads, all the things, parks, for that $600-700 a year. So the messaging is another thing I think that would help us. But I think they're doing this tax bill to control the county, the school districts, different things like that, because they're saying, okay, now your property tax, any extra property tax you have cannot go into certain funds. And I can't remember if it's the CIP funds, capital improvement.
And I have followed recently what's happened with legislation, but they were saying that property tax that you collected could not be put into a CIP fund and reserved for future projects.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of problems with that legislation. It's like, if you put all your money into, a bunch of water in a bucket and one of those drops is property tax, can you pull that drop back out? I don't know how they're trying to resolve that or even the purpose behind it, but that is one of the things they're considering.
Yeah, because you just say, all my extra was sales tax money, not property tax money, and who can, yeah. Because it is just one big bucket.
It's a general fund where
Yeah.
we, by state code, have a general fund
Yeah,
to take care of all the operations of the city and they do put some guidelines on there, but that's a piece of legislation that could affect somehow. I don't know how that's gonna shake out.
every time it leaves, we ask, what is the problem they're trying to solve? And 90% of the time, nobody knows the problem that they're trying to solve. But it's usually one neighbor that talked to one legislator, but then started a whole chain reaction.
So, Jim does have a potential resolution drafted. Worked with Eric on it. So we talked about this last year. So he has looked at like an example. We were gonna have a discussion anyway, we're gonna bring it back and show you at some point. But
Yeah, the resolution's ready and it could be brought to city council agenda as quickly as you like it.
So was it a certain percentage or was it tied to,
It was tied to, we didn't nail it down, CPI or MCI, they both mentioned.
okay,
There was a cap put on there from Mr. Peters' request. I think we had 3.5 or something like that percent. I have to look at the resolution. That's also, it's all up for discussion,
okay.
but, and then Mr. Bunderson had that prepared. I think it's ready to go. We can take that right for your consideration if you'd like to take a look at it, discuss it.
and we did, we did find that it couldn't be binding, right? So it is softer language
Yeah.
anyway. It's not really,
Just like the judgment.
yeah, it's not a.
Except this is a lot more money than we're talking.
Yeah. So what is other opinions on that?
idea. Get it in the practice. Rather than, well. Beat it, we're not. Jim's running around at the last minute trying to put everything together for us.
Yes.
I have the resolution, and if you would like me to share the screen.
Oh, cool.
or exactly.
Sure.
She's got everything.
Yes, she does. She has her fingers in every pot. Well, and I think if we can get a really good capital improvement, like parks and the different fire things and that we start pinching off every year and putting into that tax increase to catch up to where we've gotten behind and deferred maintenance and deferred the improvements we should have been making. I think it'd be a lot easier for the department heads to figure out how they can move forward with their projects as well.
So maybe as you're reading that, a little bit of discussion on what for example, a 3% increase in the property taxes would do. It's approximately $1 million. So it's, something that is a continued drop in the bucket. It's not gonna solve any major problems any year. But that's about how much it is. And then a property tax increase of 3% represents about 0.5% of the total property tax bill that you're currently paying. So West Valley City's portion is about 18% of the total bill. Another look at it.
So at $1 million, that really wouldn't even help us with bond payments for certain projects. Or would it?
It's a good.
Yeah.
It could be new growth.
Yeah, I mean, that's enough to cover a pretty good project.
Okay,
If property tax were our only source of revenue and it were covering the rest of the inflation across the city, it'd be real easy to do the math, but we're talking less than a third of our income right now. We're affecting that by that $1 million.
Okay.
Still, it has some real positive effects. One of the benefits that we've had every year of doing truth in taxation is that it's an excellent opportunity to educate the public on truth in taxation, what property tax is used for, where it comes from. Something like this also acknowledges that, that there are costs that are going to continue. And as I mentioned in my presentation, things don't go down. Our prices continue to go up. We've never had an experience where the cost of running a city decreases without a major shock. I mean, we did it one time back during 2008. If you remember that crisis, we actually spent down our fund balance reserves to approximately the legal minimum. We also had furloughs. We had forced vacancy. We maintained vacancies. We didn't fill positions. Costs actually went down. It's necessary and difficult. Those are just the things you do to keep stay in business and be solvent.
and do we hold a public hearing for our tentative budget in like April or May?
We do, and they changed the law. I think it was last year. We didn't have to hold a public hearing prior
Okay,
to the law change for tentative budget. Now they do. There's also legislation, I'm not sure what the status is on to make that even more exciting for us, where we have to adopt a tentative budget that includes property tax increase and a tentative budget that includes no property tax increase as a tentative budget. That has to be done in I think it's first regularly scheduled meeting in May, or at least in May, prior to adoption of the final budget. So we're still trying to get a handle on that. They're making us jump through a few more hoops, but there is a public hearing on it. And so the tentative budget, at least will go through that process where people can come in and provide comments.
well, and then they want you to, I mean, it's gonna lower the cost for finance, I'm sure. Because besides doing two budgets, that shows with and without, you can't spend. So our first of the year starts July 1. You cannot spend any money that's considered the tax increase until after it's adopted in August.
Yeah.
And then you can start spending the monies, that's the tax increase.
Makes our job significantly easier.
I mean, that's what everybody's trying to say. It's gonna cost every city so much more just to do these extra steps.
And
So,
it's, like your discussion, not to get into the philosophy of it, but a little bit. What problems need solved by this, and do we operate more efficiently that way?
yes. Okay, so is there enough? That wants to move forward with this resolution or wait and see what the legislature does? What's kind of a feel from the council?
I'd like to know Scott's thoughts.
Scott's thoughts?
Oh.
You're being too quiet, I guess.
I'm not in favor of a resolution. That is just a calendar invite.
I didn't hear the last part.
That's basically just a calendar invite
Because it's,
to a meeting to talk about tax increases. I just think it's a resolution that's can just be done on my Outlook calendar. So,
instead of having a policy type thing
yeah,
or a practice.
I mean, this is just so that we think about it.
we're gonna think about it every year, no matter what.
Yeah, but I think it prompts good discussion.
There's one other aspect that I failed to mention, and that's when we do go out for bonding, the bonding agencies, the rating agencies. Like to see that we are committed to remaining fiscally solvent, and they love to see regular property tax increases. Whatever that means to, the council, that's, if you're somebody that's receiving payments for a bond, you want to know that that stream is going to be protected. So it's a gesture that says, yeah, we intend to do it, but you're up. It's a statement.
Our bond rating speaks for itself.
It's where it comes from. Oh.
Tom raised his hand.
Oh. Tom has a comment? Thank you. Thank you, the corner.
Yes, thank you. I understand, about inflation and increase each year or from time to time. I understand that also. And I understand about, rules and regulation and try to maintain financial stability in our city. I understand that. But I think that if we increase 3% proper tax, I think we should do a band-aid job for our city. Take example, one good example in our city, Costco. You see that Costco, they want to come to our city and they want to have somewhere to draw a lot of people, and they pick the mall is the one is the location for them so they can have more people there. And at that time, at that location, we have to move elementary school to somewhere and put a Costco there. In order to do that, we need to have a strong financially, very strong to back up that project. And we did that. And today you see we have a great service. A lot of people in our city and adjacent our city, they like our Costco. And if we increase for 3% property tax, we cannot do much. We basically just a band-aid job. In order to do something like that, you have to go out and purchase a bond, or you increase property tax for 17% or 20%. That's how I got in the city hall at that time, 17%, and people were upset about that. So my opinion, my own opinion is, and we need to have a strong, financially very strong, to back up some kind of project like that we have in our city. For example, another example, I'll give it to you. Harriman and Riverton, they way back in the west side and nearby the foot of mountain there. But they brought Trader Joe grocery store in there. And we are here nearby airport, nearby I-215, nearby I-15, Highway 201. We cannot do that because when they come in, they ask for incentive. And we don't have that kind of money to do incentive. We cannot blame for community and economy, I mean, community and economic department in our city. What they doing right now, or why they not bringing big client into our city? No, that's not their fault. Yeah. So I think we need to have a big budget to do something in order uh, to improve our city. But 3%, I think is just a band-aid job, and it's 17% is too big for the residents here in our city. I think it's the only option we can do. We just look at around our city and see something we can, basically to sell them. That's why I want to sell the golf courses and also Farm Harvest Center. So what that reason? That's the only reason. Financially strong to back up and to bring more clients into our city. And we can have a full service here in our city and we become independent city. They go out, they spend money here in West Valley City and we collect the sales tax. Otherwise, they're gonna go to other city to do this, to purchase something they want to purchase. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but that's all my, my personal opinion.
Thank you,
That's-
appreciate that. Any other comments on this issue? So personally, whether it's a resolution or not, I think it's wise to look at raising at least 3% every year instead of the go 4 years and then raise it 18%. So that's just me personally. Then you do it 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row. I think the bond companies understand that's what is happening. But I thought that was your hand up for a minute, Will.
This one's a head scratcher.
Pardon?
This one's a head scratcher.
It's-
It doesn't hurt us to have it come forward as a resolution to be discussed and voted on. So. I think we should have it come forward as a resolution and decide for sure then. It doesn't sound like. It's close to know who would vote for it or not, but let's discuss it. And then decide.
Are you comfortable with having it come on to a agenda? Yeah,
Yes.
I can't see Tom's head. I can see 2 no and 4 yeses. Do you want to wait and see what the legislature does before we throw it on an agenda, or does that matter?
Well, legislature will be over before we can get it on.
That's true.
So.
I'm not so fast.
Vote on it.
She could get it out, well, it's over by the
It'll be
time,
this week,
yeah,
another 3 weeks, so
it's over.
we
on
know
the 6th.
what they do by then.
Yeah,
To study on March 10th and then vote on.
oh, yeah, so that'd be plenty of time.
Yeah.
So I think I saw enough yeses to put it on the agenda. Okay. Anything else, Lars?
Nope.
Okay. Scott, do you have a list?
Yourself?
Yes.
We've already. Milton will not be a surprise. We've already talked about boarding houses and pop-up vending and all that stuff.
We nailed down pop-up vending enough. Because for
No,
myself, yeah, I don't think we have. So we received it. text or an email saying, when you see something, let a poll or something, but on the weekend. You really want us to bombard us and who's really gonna go out? And shut them down. So I guess I just need an explanation on that. And
That's where
then,
we see most of it on weekends.
yeah, I mean, Valentine's, there was something on every single corner and sometimes. 3 things on one corner. And
The
so,
whole canopy, little tables,
Canopies everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
just.
and is it just gonna be the streets that the council visits, or is police gonna? When they're doing their patrols, if they see something, are they gonna pull over and issue citations? Or are they just hoping that the council doesn't drive up and down the streets they're on? So I think that's my question with vending.
Do we need to
Vendors.
hire a weekend coverage? So that's really where we're gonna see the majority of the pop-ups is on the weekends. So if we're gonna. We're going to patrol and enforce it, then we need to have somebody on weekends.
Yeah.
So That's
That's the other thing going on with that is I believe the permits, there were 15.
Yeah.
Do we need to look at that?
Oh, for the food trucks?
Because if we're shutting them down, we need to give them an option, get a permit. So I think that's a discussion item. Again, I asked how it came about, if it just came about.
Well, it was, I think. The first time we talked about it, I was on the planning commission. And it was 12 then, and it's just because we were trying to wait the brick and mortars and not give preferential treatment to the food trucks that may take business away from the ones that actually pay the property taxes. And are the brick and mortars.
Yeah, I think they said they also had a waiting list for,
Right,
Yeah.
that's why I said we need.
so we're really not probably helping the pop-ups. Cause there's already a waiting list for those business licenses.
Legit,
Yeah, and the pop-ups probably aren't legit, so.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to give them an option to do it legally, because I don't think.
but you're talking food trucks, not
Food
vendors.
trucks, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the pop-ups are one thing, they're not usually, they're usually selling flowers or stuffed animals or whatever.
Well, and we don't permit that even, we don't even give out permission.
Well, I know.
Is that right or wrong?
And it's temporary use for the same thing for this, farms, we want.
Yeah. But how many of those do we allow?
We're not a cap through our regulations.
So, holidays,
So examples, we have things about losing the Christmas tree sales or shelter shacks, so those kinds of, it's gonna be seasonal.
Seasonal, not year round. Right. Yeah, and see, I don't have an appetite for more food truck permits. Just because I value our restaurants. So I don't think we have an obligation to open it up for more, but that's just me personally.
I think the only reason I would wanna look at it is just because it was said. So long ago,
Yeah.
city's
Yeah.
grown, I mean, there being opportunities for. Not a whole lot.
I may be wrong, but I think a place like Casa del Mall started with a food truck.
No, they started in the swap meet,
The swap meet.
across from Harlan's.
Okay,
That
and they
indoor
were
swap meet.
paying property taxes,
They were paying property tax through their rent for the,
yeah, they were paying rent.
yeah,
Yeah.
for who, that
For the
who pays
property
property
owners.
tax.
For the 15, do they have like a parking lot that they're tied to?
A location.
Those are, so you have food trucks that can kind of wander, they don't deal with for some reason, I will do. 15 can be at its location.
Can we get a map shows where those 15 are? Sure. Then we can look and see if there's other space or a need for anything more, but.
So how many do we have that can move around?
That one's tougher because the legislature. A lot of requires cities to honor other cities' licenses. So you can use having your license, it's valid with anything other's license. The city is operating here, you can do that.
Oh, then we should get rid of the 15 permanents and only allow the traveling ones, I guess. Then we would have less. Because I don't like that the legislature just is not put a cap on that and we can't put a cap on that.
It's basically, we have to recognize other cities.
Yeah.
So that they can just, you know,
Anywhere they want.
does the county issue those types of licenses? So,
so the county does, for those that are legit, they have to be approved by the property.
Every night, right? And did that have to be stored there every night?
well, like Scott, I'd like to see where they're at,
The
the
permanent ones?
permits. And I think we need to look at the 15. Do we want to reduce it? Do we want to increase it? I mean, either way. I think, you know.
Do
But
we have a count of about how many road ones are just going wherever?
I'll tell
Okay.
Usually the ones that are like roving, they go to like Fairborn, when we have our summer. Or staff. I don't see many that are just roving. That end up in our city very often. It's usually the ones that are there every day, go to the. Smith's on 40th and across the street at Rancho, there's one on each side.
Taco stand park.
Yeah.
Well, I
Couple
haven't
times.
seen that one there anymore. The Harmon's one of them.
I thought I.
Have you seen it recently?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
One with that, with games.
I definitely don't drive far to those, but. And there's the one in the Shopko parking lot that's always there. But I've had people say there's some up at the CVS that they don't think are legal. And now there's one by that auto parts store on 48th and 35th, the southwest corner. There's one behind the automotive store. That's there quite a bit. So it would be nice to know which ones are legal and which ones are moving around.
Like, back to pop-ups though, I think the weekend coverage is probably something that really ought to look at. I'd be in favor of. You know, this should probably should.
And do you notice they're mainly on main roads?
Oh, yeah.
Cause I was wondering if one person could drive all the main roads. And just catch them all in one day, and if they could do it once or twice, do like 31, 35th, 41, 47, and then. Those main intersections. And not even do it by complaints, just roll them.
Yeah, it wouldn't take 2 hours to main streets and see a majority of them. You know, even if you hit half the city one weekend and the other half the next weekend, you're gonna, you know, hit. All of them. I mean, there's 4 within a mile of my house.
And are they in neighborhoods or on Main Street?
No, they're on 40th or on 41
Are they in the middle
or 47, probably the only places that, right.
are they like 41 to 35th on 4,000?
So 41 to 47
On
on
4,000?
4,000.
Okay,
So Home Depot, right by
Oh.
Home Depot,
okay,
right by the car wash, the Flying Frog car wash.
many times on 40 or 48, 47, right on the way.
40, okay.
And then I just saw last week, the empty lot next to Bangerter and 41
Mhm.
on the south
for
side.
south.
They made like 3 canopies and lights and they were up all night. Cooking something, probably good.
Probably stored on the side of the house the rest of the
I don't know.
So there, that's all I could get with staff and we can come up with a good plan, just so you know. This is helpful for me. I'm saying all year now, it's not, so this means we gotta turn it up in a different way. So this is good direction for me. The way I've instructed our staff is, you know, handle it with the property owner. I really don't want our police officers, if at all possible, if we can maybe. We could look at hiring others to come in and do that. It's just, with my experience, I just see more opportunity for use of force. Liability and. As well as, you know, our officers weekends are pretty busy for them. But you know, us finding maybe other opportunities to have somebody, hire somebody to go out on a weekend. The way I've instructed our staff is really to handle it through, you know, you have, like, for example, Home Depot. You go and talk to somebody from Home Depot, tell them that it's not legal, let them manage it that way. And I think Ricardo's done a really good job in using the framework, those parameters. And I know Steve and his team's come to me and asked me, okay, do we turn this up? And, you know, of course, I've come from a whole different council, right? Where they have a different view on that, but understanding where you guys see this, I think I know where to go. We can, and a lot of it was, like I said, with police not having to do that. I can just leave police out of it. Now, if things get, you know, where they're trespassing and, of course, police can be involved, but for them to have a primary responsibility to go, the chief wants that. You want that too?
And so they have directed that if they get a dispatch call or if they have free time, it's a priority.
Okay, thank you.
So I think it's great for them to, like, they'll always be able to respond. Having a primary duty to go out and, you know,
Yeah, probably not the first priority.
Definitely not the priority.
Yeah.
but we can meet with staff. We'll turn this up, and we'll turn the heat up on it. So that's how we've been handling it. I think like Ricardo, I mean, he has some good statistics of how many he's, you know, shut down. And, one example was that full-on swap that they were having with that Azteca parking lot.
Yeah.
But
You
it
know,
was,
he
it
went in,
was bad. 2 Sundays ago.
so there's like 4 days,
Oh, they
out
can
of
have 4.
4, I mean, I don't know how many days they are allowed a year.
So we came up with the process, the problem is, that I don't think this latest one.
Okay, yeah.
Operating to send, so issue.
Okay.
So we'll turn it up, we'll go. And if we need to hire individuals to go out on the weekend, that's what we're seeing them. Outdoors.
I think normally this time of year we wouldn't because well, but we had such a mild winter, so we still see the sweat.
Yeah.
But come May, I think it's gonna be full blown again. We're excited.
Well, so I don't know when we passed the ordinance that you can't use a commercial truck and park it around the city as advertising. That's plastered with your logo on it and everything. And when I've been driving home from city council on Tuesday nights, because that's the only time I'm out that late. There's a truck in that same parking lot across the street from Harmon's that's lit up like an electronic billboard. And so the first time I called EFO, he didn't make it there. So last time I just went parked and took pictures and followed him out, got his license plate. But has anybody seen him anywhere else? Because what he's advertising for isn't even close to that.
Is that the one that says Scott Harlan for city council?
Somebody has it up. See. Oh, in your thing. No, I don't remember who it's. Steve has a picture of it too. So I think that one they're gonna issue a ticket to, but I didn't know if anybody had seen him anywhere else. Or knew that they were illegal. Boost Mobile is who they're advertising for.
Edmonds,
So,
4,000 west.
and 46,
46,
16
yeah.
south. Yeah, so I didn't know if there's another spot that they're moving it to, or if they're only
Like a
in that
moving
one spot.
billboard.
Yeah,
You're just driving around.
yep.
I haven't seen it.
And he knows he's not supposed to be there, because once I parked there, he shut it down and left. So I made it easy to get his license plate number. But nobody else is seeing him, that's good, it's not just going everywhere. Okay,
To your issue.
oh, good.
Steve, I don't know if you have any comments on like this discussion, to add to this discussion,
For this signage.
just a pop up. Like I said, we can talk, we'll talk and see how we can turn it up, but I don't know, anything to add?
It's an ongoing issue where it's both educating the individuals on property owners. Just given the sort of transit nature of it, it's just. It's constant effort because as soon as you do one location. Not like to say, it's the same as, there's a contemporary sign that's great. We're constant, that's a constant.
And what kind of temporary signs are you talking about?
But things like A-frame signs or. Where we meet or air, those kinds of things you have to find. We have regulations that goes to, we'll get people to clean those up when we show up. So just there's a certain parameter on the portion of the sheets that you put service.
So we have. At the greenhouse on 3500, we have a developer who's selling lots to the west of us that keeps putting signs in the park strip. So legal told me I can take those down without being in trouble. I don't even touch people's campaign signs. I don't want to get in trouble for taking things, but so I'm hoping if I take it enough, they'll think it costs too much to do it. And it's only up 30 seconds, so.
That is.
Yeah.
Staying on it.
But are we worried about those? I mean,
We don't, so you can't have any kind of signage used to priority unless it's a stop sign or something.
right,
So those are easily pushed.
okay. So. And they only show up on Saturday morning and then they're gone by Saturday night. So that could be something else the vendor person takes care of.
And I guess Steve maybe was thinking of is, currently, I know Ricardo has gone out on weekends, but that hasn't been his normal schedule to do that. So moving from there to somebody to weekend, maybe an extra part-time person or extra, maybe, like I said, we could talk through it. Probably.
What else?
Next.
Oh, you don't have another one?
Yeah, no, I. You just go for it. You may wanna take a break before I get going. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really have that much, but and I'm sure we'll hear more, but with the Olympics coming, it would be nice to focus on 35th and the Maverick Center area and places that we can spruce things up over the next 7 years and get ready for that. I had a wild brain idea. Just one. But and it, you know, it's always up to Springmeyer. It would be cool to contact the Boring Company, Elon's company, the Boring Company, and see if we can get a tunnel from the Maverick Center to City Center.
A walking path or a car path?
Just to connect,
To connect.
connect the mall,
Uh-huh.
connect
Or,
the City Center, connect Maverick Center.
Yeah.
But we have the Olympics, that would be. I mean, how are people are gonna walk to the Maverick Center, to the mall or city hall?
In that weather.
Yeah, that's fun.
You wanna drive in this tunnel, walk on this tunnel, you wanna like the magic carpet ride, it's snowbirds, we get moving path.
I don't know, I saw a video, I think they just built one in. Las Vegas,
And they've got a couple.
so. We could do some more thinking about that, but. I just think that would be a cool thing for the Olympics to have. Some more connectivity with not just the Maverick Center, but West Valley City. On downtown.
You know, and it's not just the Olympics, it's other events at the Maverick Center, because there's a nightmare
Yep.
in and out of there.
We're working on that.
Yeah, I mean, the sleep token, I'm sure took those days out there.
Having been a driver for the Olympics, VIPs. During 2002. They had the area around the Maverick Center, going to 3 parking lots, plain parking space. For the VIPs, and I was following somebody all the way. So something like this where I could take the VIPs to one point. Let them walk in on their own. Be,
And I think most of the mooring company tunnels have tested this, are just shuttling people back and forth.
Oh, okay, so you just get in a car and get,
Yeah.
okay. There is something like that in Vegas.
Yeah. Pretty cool, just a harebrained idea.
If he wants to do it just for the publicity,
And I think Boring Company will like, right now, they're offering to do it for free. They can just get the land use rights to do it, so.
so do they just have to go around utilities? Or do they go below the utilities?
They go.
They go way below the utilities, probably.
Our water table.
yeah,
See what?
If our water.
they might have to use floats.
Oh, Yeah, that's- I think it's a good idea. That one's never came up in a meeting, has it?
No, that's
not. That's awesome.
That's a, novel.
That's awesome.
Dawn,
I think I've said my part. Support some of these
others,
projects that are going on or planned. Get them going and get the funding for the staff to build the project.
will,
I said it, public safety.
okay. Cindy, you have a nice
Okay.
long list?
I have a couple of other things. Everything's been great, and I think we're on the same page on so many of the things. I know last year, of our 5 things, one was prosperity and was image one of them? I don't
Reputation.
get reputation, that type of thing. So when we had the meetings about the general plan, we had the one with the council and the planning commission, then we had the ones with the community members, and Dawn and I went to both, but everybody was at the first one. Something that came up a lot, of course, was our image. And particularly, especially with the residents. How can we elevate our neighborhoods? How can we make them nicer? We can't force people I can't force someone's yard to look like my yard, but that was something they were concerned about. And we've heard that too, throughout everything. So. This is the world of Cindy. We build these nice subdivisions, we want the nice homes, we want the new farms, we want all these things. We put in the improvements and we put up these streetlights. And then we don't maintain them, so it's again back to maintenance. So in my neighborhood. Where you all know where I live now, 500 steps from Cross Sandburg. But one street got brand new streetlights. Because apparently they were one short. Dan's already heard all of this, but Dan, just nod your head, yeah, I've heard it. But further in the neighborhood, I have the most atrocious streetlights that we're looking at because the paint is gone. So this black light pole looks awful. So we want our neighborhoods to be maintained, to be elevated, to be welcoming, to say, this is who we are, but yet we're letting other things fall to the wayside. And I know everything comes down to money. It really does. A lot of the other concerns with the residents was sidewalks. And of course, we're doing a lot of sidewalk repairs. So I'm just wondering if there's something that we can do to not only encourage our residents to maintain and elevate their property and their image, but also things that our city can do. When I was on planning commission, there was the church, the Sunrise Church. They're on 44th, and they've sold a piece of their ground to do townhomes. And their pastor, whoever it is, he doesn't live in West Valley, but he commented on how our streets are becoming elevated, because 4100 with the street lights and 35th and 47th, and we are. And I know it takes time and money, but I think we need to just continue to project that throughout the city. How can we continue to elevate our city? Centennial Park, you know, I go down there a lot to walk, and we improve that. We try to keep that up and running and looking great. So that's something that I'm wondering what we can do as a city, as a council, to not only encourage our residents to elevate and maintain and want to make it nice, but also us as a city. Does that make sense?
Require ourselves to do what we're requiring
Requiring other
residents-
people to do,
residents.
yeah, so that's, and I know it's a process and it takes time, but I wouldn't, as I've throughout my career, I never asked someone to do something that I hadn't done or wasn't willing to do myself. And so I always said, okay, I'm asking this person to do this. Do I know how to do that? I should know how to do that. So that's just something that I think as a city, that is that something that we could. And it's nothing that you can really quantify but maybe you just target something. You know, what can we do this year to maybe help that? And I think it will help our residents gain more pride. I'm thinking, I mean, it already has when I drive down 35th and 4100. And I love that we've gone away from the billboards, that we've gone to the monument signs. So we're trying to bring things up the level. So that's something, and I don't know how we tackle that.
So it was brought up in years past, the same issue is keeping our property up like we're asking the residents to. And at the time, we hired 2 new people to just work on city property and keep the weeds down and maintain. But I don't know if they're still doing that, if that's, if they're busy 24/7, they could fit in painting streetlights. Any comments from that department?
Well, part of heating street light, there's a lot in our street lights.
So is the maintenance in the streetlight fee?
There are some, yeah, there's definitely,
Okay,
but it basically keeps the lights on. What we've also spent our past several years with projects focused on putting streetlights where there are streetlights. So I think we want to past streetlights, and so we have fewer than 10 buildings per campus. So that's where a lot of the money is going. The big bulk of our maintenance needs are going to be replacing those streetlights, or replacing or repairing the streetlights that were installed in the 1990s by Rock Mountain Power. I'm going to do that first. We will see the old fiber line rolling down when we get to this. I'm going to need some very deep.
and are we taking off, replacing them, or are we just painting them and maintaining, trying to maintain them?
We've done all of the both. We've painted them. We've changed the shields, the color, like the glass. Given a fresher look on some of them, and there's a handful of things we can do. Our preference, if we have money, we would replace them. New lights, new bolts to be our standard. Look, we're really long. We've not really started tackling those slightly black ones. There's, you know, off the top of my head, then 4,000.
Yeah, I talked to Dan about it.
So 4,000
Yeah,
that need to be maintained, that are the fiberglass. So when you paint them, how long does that last?
So, 5 years maybe, like
5 at the most?
not a long-term great solution.
so I probably should have been cited for this, but I did get a black can spray paint. And I did it as high as I could.
You get your ladder so you get to the top.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, but that's just something, it's not just the streetlights,
Yeah.
it's other things as well, and I know some of our parks. You know, there's weeds everywhere, in fact, someone out at Sunset Hills. Complained about the weeds, and I said, I think that's what it's meant to look like, I think it was natural grass or something, but anyway. Again, education of our neighborhoods, but I just think that's something again, what can we do as a city? To not ask residents to do something that we don't do ourselves.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
So, Dan, is there a need for more employees? I mean, can they take care of everything that's being asked of them?
No, there's definitely things that we aren't doing, but we aren't really touching those private goals. Something for and look at their options. We have the street light. Do we need those? It's kind of a level. Is this basically $200,000 to $300,000 a year for capital improvements. New lights and then $100,000 for movements on the existing system. A lot of that goes to restoring one. Damage which happens in the system. And a lot of those old fiberglass poles in the neighborhood don't have conduit. So when the wire breaks or the damage are hit, it's almost impossible for us to find there's a continuity of the conductor, and so we end up usually for machine or the new conduit for technical sections. So that's where most of that new things. Those things.
Have we looked at the solar lights, or are they really not practical?
We can certainly explore that, but that's a huge gap for the same thing.
Well, I need to move forward and replace sections like that.
He's not really look at it.
So on the 2 or 4, however many guys we have maintaining city property, are there enough of them to go out by Hunter Village and burn back all the puncture weed every year and torch that, or pardon?
Are you talking, now you're talking about? Right.
Well, they image for the city owned properties.
Yeah, I think we actually have resources. If you see stuff that.
If we see a patch of weeds.
I don't want to say that we have the resources that we need. We never have everything we need, but we have a handful of people, we have a. Temporary employee budget
Okay,
every year that we hire under. High school kids to come and work on our right of way crew, help with those weeds. And the challenge that we face is that they all grow at the same time, and so.
Yeah.
We can get overwhelmed those first few weeks and months of springtime when growing. But I wouldn't recommend it as being one resources for the right of way to the city. I mean, we focused on contracting some of the bigger, like, a lot of the properties that we mow and maintain. Instead of pulling our own employees off of the right, but we can say that we contract those types of things out. They're pretty economical to do on the private market. We definitely love any feedback you can get from you on what you see as a priority, especially during that time of year with the leaves that grow. Those street trees are the challenge doors. We start growing through those raw. Shabby.
so yeah,
Also, how about, the dead trees that. Where we planted trees and the right of ways.
Yeah, we've been working with the Parks Department.
Okay.
And we fund them and they.
Okay.
We break it all down. They're. Worth the, we should go. Yeah, I know some 2 months.
And I just have one last thing, sorry, I have a little touch and feely things. I talked a little bit about this, the various people though. I feel like there's sections of the city that feel so disjointed from being a part of the city, specifically Sunset Hills. and Diamond Summit. I mean, I'm trying to reach out and make contact out there, but. And there might be other areas of the city too that feel like they're not on the city's radar. I think Chesterfield likes being who Chesterfield is. They're their own unique community, and as time changes and maybe we have the potential to annex other areas into the city, maybe that will help, but they feel a real disconnect and they don't really feel a part of West Valley. And I don't know, maybe it's the WVC and me, maybe we can somehow make an effort to get to those communities a little bit more. But the one person in Sunset Hills said, yeah, my zip code's even a West Jordan zip code. So, they just kind of feel that disconnect, and I'm gonna really make an effort this year to try and, go to their nights out and things like that, and maybe I'll invite some of our city, council and staff to make an extra effort to help them out there. So that's just another thing is how can we, and it kind of goes when Harold was talking about the WVCMDs, how can we continue to build that and include people to feel more of a part of West Valley. So if anyone has any ideas or any connections in areas that, I don't know if you've experienced it, you've been out talking to residents, but I know it means a lot to them if someone pays attention to them. And I feel like sometimes they just don't get that attention. And but some of them might not want the attention.
I was gonna say, how many make the effort to?
Yeah, true. And like, if you look at the election results, I mean, they don't vote. So how can we change that? Very few of them vote, because I think they don't feel that connection. What are they gonna do for me out here? Until they need something. So that's just something else as we kind of try to improve our image and invite and promote ourselves to include areas that might not feel included.
Have we done any chill with the chief events out there in those areas? I mean,
I don't know if we're gonna clear out something else, but, yeah.
Maybe we could do something like that. Yeah.
I mean, they have one area out there that's an HOA. The rest is just, it's not an HOA. And they're very organized, so they have something. That's good. Yeah.
For the zip code, I don't know how many years ago, we made a big effort to make sure on all of the online platforms that instead of, when you put in your address, instead of coming up Hunter, Utah or Granger, Utah, or it said West Valley City, and made sure that like those areas that think they're in West Jordan, make sure it comes up. We need to double check them and make sure they're coming up West Valley. Does anybody remember whose department did that last time?
It would have been ours with we were doing the website and doing all that work, we would submit a lot of things to Google. Where they had a, back in the day, I haven't checked them over the last few years, but we would submit addresses to try to get it. They're not easy to work with, but I know that they did it correct, a bunch of those things.
And
But
because
we can refocus that, I can check those areas that you put the
Post office.
Yeah, just think any little thing that we can do to.
because is that what their complaint is? It's coming up as a West Jordan on the
No,
map? Oh,
no,
okay.
they just,
They just feel
our
like
zip
West
code's
Jordan.
even West Jordan. Why are?
Well,
we-
that's why I'm trying to figure out why they think their zip code's West Jordan.
Because it's the 84081 is a West Jordan. I mean, most of that is West Jordan.
Okay,
It's just that little Sunset Hills. Because it's like Diamond Summit, one street's West Valley, the next street's West Jordan.
and in
That's
Taylorsville, where we
which
connect
is-
with Taylorsville, I know
Yeah.
that's a thing too.
But I mean, it's going right through neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a congregation. You have people in 4 different congregations that live on the same streets, so.
Yeah.
We can look at some of the events we're planning this year,
Okay, I think that, yeah,
look at doing them out there.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And I think everything else, pop-up vending, boarding house seats, parking, all that type of thing, so I think that's always on our minds and, yeah. And everyone's doing a great job.
Well, that's it. I was curious how the contracts, mowing on the parks would go. And yes, I did watch some of the parks get mowed, and they do go over them twice and cross them. That's more than I do in my own yard, so. I thought they've been doing a great job. I don't know if anybody else has had any issues, if there's a park that's getting missed. But the ones I've watched, I don't know by lows, but so 41 and 6,000. That's the one I drive past the most and see them working on. Brian watches the one, city park right there by the animal shelter, because that's where he walks the dog all the time, and so we've been impressed by that. I don't know if anybody else has had an opinion, but I thought they've done a great job. So,
I didn't notice a huge change.
oh, didn't you?
No.
I will say that in the fall, all they did was mow and spring trim because we awarded the contract pretty late. And so they didn't have the capacity to do the full job that we awarded to them in the fall. So all they did in the fall was mow and spring trim and edge. Starting now, with the, additional notice, they will start the extra fertilizations and a lot more of the spring cleanup and all the other things that are in the contract for them to do. So I think this year we'll see a lot more difference in the turf. And the curb appeal of the parks as a result of that contract. So I'm glad to know that you're seeing the things just with the mowing, but I think we'll see a lot more positive change as we go through this calendar year.
Great. So all of my things were, I went through my list on my phone and they were all covered by everybody else, so. Cause mine is a lot of the vending and then that guy in that truck, but I will chase, he's out of the city for good.
Got a ticket now, so.
Yeah, we'll see if it was enough to stop him, or if the company pays him more to be out there. Yeah, but I think he knows we're watching, so. Who knows? Okay. Anything else? Tom, oh yeah, Tom, are you still there?
He said he had nothing. He texted Nicole.
Oh, okay, okay. He said no? Okay,
Yeah, I'm still here, and I don't have anything to say today. I think you guys cover very much everything. So yeah, so none for me.
okay, thank you. So. Our My Hometown program, does anybody know if we're expanding more this year? Or are we just gonna keep what we have and work on getting it perfected?
We are planning to reach out to southeast corner. So, kind of weird square and part of the curve around, but with the leaks.
Oh, okay,
Awareness start cleaning up. No, stuff that you know.
that's great. Cause I heard in one community, they kind of put My Hometown on pause. Even begin it, so. It's Magna,
Magna actually just purchased a church.
yeah,
Well, so they have, with us now, here. But last I heard, they were pulling for that.
yeah, and he said they're not moving forward right this point, they have a pause on. So,
In 2 weeks a week.
okay. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I just didn't know if it was affecting us or
No.
maybe just them, so. Okay. And then. Any other programs anybody would like to see started? We need a geriatrics. Social media. Plus. What did you say? How much plus?
45 plus, all
Oh,
these
maybe
communities,
45 plus, 45 plus.
I mentioned to my wife last night that, we had a presentation on our Instagram website.
We've got an Instagram page.
She said Yahoo.
Yeah. Don't call it a geriatric.
Neither, I'm fine with the one they have. But,
It's just expanding our reach.
yeah, well, and it is, I know for certain things we want that. Those are our future kids, those are our future leaders, and so having them involved, but then the ones that have been established here for a bit. So the established and the up and coming,
That's established.
yeah.
So
Established. They go to Facebook, right? They don't go to Instagram,
I was
so.
gonna say, that's where Facebook is.
I know, it's the geriatric.
Oh,
I don't go to Facebook.
I go to, I only do Instagram,
Really?
yeah.
Every now and again, the only reason I started Facebook was during the campaign. Never really did.
I have Facebook for my high school friends and then everything else is on Instagram. Just to see who's dying. That's more at that point. So I say, yeah. It's all. Okay, so do we want to finish up early? Yes, there's no sense to stay around to stay around, so. Does anybody get? Oh, I would have brought Mahjong if anybody had said they want to play games.
We could spend time talking about this property, yes, there's some.
Oh, do you want to?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we could go on and watch it for others.
Yeah. So is there any staff,
There you
any
go.
staff that's heard anything that wants to add?
No.
No one knows. Okay. Okay. So I don't see you sticking around for no reason, so. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we stand adjourned. Thank you. And thank staff, thank you so much for all the work and put in our presentations.
Okay, thank you.